You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
The Incredible Hulk, the Morning Star, Will Huckabee, speaking for the greatest producer in wrestling podcast history, Killer Cast, and my esteemed colleague, the Bearded Wonder, a.k.a. Doc Wonderbeard, a.k.a. the Heart Beard Kid, Zane Paisley, who unfortunately can't be with us tonight, but I have a feeling that next week he'll be with us because, he may or may not be checking out a couple of superstars tonight. I'm not going to let the cat out the bag. I'm going to let him talk about it when he comes back next week. Anyways, just to let you know that this podcast, just like several other great podcasts, are brought to you by the Angry Marks Podcast. Feel free to go on your Apple store or like the Google Play Store. Look up Angry Marks Podcast. Go there, click on the little link thing, and then download not only this show, but several other great shows in the Angry Marks Podcast family. Anyway, tonight, might be a little different. I'm really looking forward to tonight's show. Definitely looking forward to tonight's guest. Somebody I'm not going to let the cat in the bag just yet. Somebody who I'm totally excited to talk to. Is supposed to be on a former incantation of the show. Supposed to be a guest on a former incantation of the show. Couldn't really make it, but now we have him live and on demand for you here at the Wrestling Nerdcast. So anyway, Kev, this weekend was pretty chill.
What'd you do?
For the most part. I didn't do anything. I canceled some shows and stuff. We had some, family illnesses and stuff. So I canceled my shows Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then Sunday, basically I drove down, for Monday Night Raw, which was a show last night actually, in Atlanta, actually in, Carrollton, Georgia. It was a joint wrestling show put together by AWE and UIW. Actually, it was put together by AWE's sister promotion, the Raw division, which is like AWE's women's division. So it was 3 female matches, 3 male matches brought to you by UIW, on one show. It's like it just alternated male and female matches. I took on one of the most feared guys in Georgia. If not the most feared man in Georgia. The No Pain Train Iceberg, of NWA Wild Side and NWA Anarchy, notoriety and infamy and stuff. Just a hardcore master, a legend in Georgia wrestling. And in my opinion, when you think of Georgia wrestling and stuff, you have to think of Iceberg. He's probably one of the most, if not the most respected person on the Georgia indie wrestling scene. But they had, Taylor Hendricks was there, Kiera Hogan, Priscilla Kelly, Kennedy Brink, a lot of really good females. Like the female matches were incredible. As far as some of the male talent that was there, it was myself, Iceberg, Murder One, Chip Day, Adrian Armour, Owen Knight, Slade Porter from down in Florida, who was slowly but surely becoming one of my favorite guys to watch. A really good young guy. Doesn't have a lot of experience, but it's just every time I see him, this guy just gets better, man. He really does get better. Anyway, getting to my match, I had the match with Iceberg. Things were going really good. It was a no DQ match. So I now officially have like a gimmick. I feel like I'm an actual wrestler now because I actually have like a gimmick with me.
Sweet.
I know you wonder. So I had this huge oversized fork that I may or may not have procured from P.F. Chang's on my birthday. No, only because the fork was so huge. Like, it was the biggest. I'm sorry, no, I'm lying. I got my spoon on my birthday, my oversized spoon from P.F. Chang's. I got my oversized fork from the Cheesecake Factory. It was like the biggest fork I've ever seen in my life. I think they said, oh, it's a serving fork. And I'm like, whatever, I'm from the projects. Like, I don't know what the hell a serving fork is. So I took this fork and I just carry it in my gear bag now. But now I've now decided to use it as my gimmick. And I have given this huge, ginormous fork a name that I feel like somebody like you would appreciate the name of my fork, Kev.
What's that?
I've called my fork Baby Abby minus the Hep C. And you have to say the entire thing just like that.
Yeah, you have to say the whole thing.
The whole thing just like that. Baby Abby, minus the Hep C, made her debut this weekend or yesterday.
Have you started introducing her to anybody yet?
Yeah, I introduced her to Iceberg's testicles yesterday. And right when I got ready to win the match, I actually picked this ginormous man up, hit him with the power bomb. And of course, I'm winning from power bomb with a 400-pound guy. Next thing I know, here comes Joe Black interfering. Like, I didn't even know he was there in the building. And like all of a sudden, Joe Black just kind of attacked me. Me and him got into a fight. He kicked me in the nuts. Then he punched me in the face with some brass knuckles. So my jaw is kind of tight right now. I kind of have my face is kind of swollen. Not as bad as Damian Wayne's face when he fought Rodney Mack a couple of weeks ago. Just in case any of our listeners follow Damian Wayne and or Rodney Mack on social media, my face looks nothing like that. But I am feeling kind of tight right now. So that was my weekend yesterday.
Well, there you go.
There it is. It's like Monday night, man. Like I said, I really enjoy wrestling on a Monday night. And I'm surprised that we had the size crowd that we did, especially for it being Monday night, WWE. A lot of people at home watching Raw and stuff, but surprisingly, there was like about 150 people there. 75, I'll say it was 100, 150 people there. Some of them diehard AWE fans, some of them diehard UIW fans, and then some people who just happened to see it and was like, "Oh, a wrestling show at a bar with chicks. Okay, I'll try anything once."
That's what she said.
There. Go ahead.
I said that's what she said.
Basically, yeah. Actually, I think that was.
Come on, damn! Didn't even get a laugh.
No, I'm like that's just like
I'm gonna have to go edit that now. Thanks.
There were a lot of kids, a lot of college kids there too. Snapchatting, which is something I still don't understand the whole Snapchat thing. But there was a bunch of kids Snapchatting things and everything and putting things on Twitter and stuff. So I feel like AWE is about to have a huge increase in college kids attending and shit. Mainly because of the females, horny 18 to 21-year-old kids who don't get a chance to see very hot females this close and personal. You know what I'm saying? Most female wrestlers will at least act like they like you, unlike female college co-eds. They'll just ignore the shit out of you. Female wrestlers will actually take a picture with you and let you touch them. So, anyway, Kev, I think it's time for us to call our guest. What do you think?
We'll get them dialed up.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's guest, somebody that I idolize, in God's honest truth, somebody who I idolize, somebody who I pay attention to all the time. Not only a member of a famous tag team and stuff, but I like to consider him not an independent wrestling legend, but just a wrestling legend, period. Member of Ohio is for Killers and the Irish Airborne, one of my favorite tag teams, somebody that I can't wait, and hopefully one day I'll be able to share the ring with, Mr. Jake Crist. So anyway,
how's it go?
It's going great, man. I'm gonna just go ahead and jump straight into the meat and potatoes of this whole situation, because I follow you, like thousands of other people, follow you on social media, and you had a very busy week last week.
I sure did.
Would you like to explain it to our listeners and fans? Because I was at work. And dealing with work stuff and everything, and I just happened to, that right there, like, completely blew me away. That completely made my afternoon.
Yeah, I think it made a lot of people's afternoon with that one.
Exactly. So let me get this right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. That's fine.
All right. Let me get the basics down. This promoter, I can't remember his name right now, but we'll just say promoter, was running a show, Generation X Wrestling. I want to say in Indianapolis. You, your brother, Sammy Callahan, Anthony Henry, Rude Boy Riley, a bunch of other just, really great talented guys and stuff, all on this show. and then there was a dispute at the last minute. Am I correct?
Yes, the very last minute.
All right. Would you like to go into detail about that?
Yeah, not a problem. Here's what happened. It was, I would say, Tuesday of last week. He gets a hold of me, Desmond Xavier, Zachary Wentz, my brother, all message us letting us know, hey, this is what's going on. Also, I'm not going to be able to pay your trans. So, after, I would say, a month or two that we've been on this, advertised on the show, you're going to ask us to, you're not even ask. Like, he straight up said, I'm not going to be able to pay you guys' trans. That's like, you just don't go to work and your boss will come up to you and say, hey, I need you to work for half your rate today. I need you to work for half your pay. That just doesn't happen. Like, it would really work good for the company if you worked for, $10 today instead of, however much anyone, whatever you may make or may not make. It doesn't matter. The fact is, you just can't change the deal last minute. You can't advertise this and say, hey, everything is good, and then a week before the show, or a week and a half or 2 weeks or whatever it was, say, this is what the deal is. Like, it just doesn't work that way.
Exactly. Now, I'm going to go ahead and admit that, because it's already out there, so I'm going to just go ahead and say, it wasn't like the price that you charged them for trans, for you gentlemen was an exorbitant fee. You guys weren't asking for, first class round trip airfare and, a stay in some fucking 5-star hotel. Am I correct?
No, not at all. We weren't even staying in the hotel.
Exactly. It was like, what? It was such a minuscule amount. It was like $40 that you was asking for trans. Correct.
It was $40. It would have got us. It would have been $20 to get us to Indianapolis. $20 to get us back to Dayton.
That is so crazy that at the last minute he's like, oh, hey, yeah, things happen, something happened, and I can't pay your trans. Like, did he just expect you to say okay, or was he did he at least say, I can't pay your trans up front, but when you get here, I'll make up for it, or I can send it to you later?
No, this was straight up like non-negotiable. Like, he said, hey, I'm not going to be able to pay your trans. You guys are going to have to take Sammy back with you guys, which we already planned to anyways. But like I was saying, like, I waited one whole day before I even replied, like, because I was going to see how Dave, Dez, or Zachary Wentz was going to take it. And when they didn't say anything for a whole day, I was just like, oh no, that does not work. It doesn't look like we'll be at your show then.
Did he also did he also say something about not? I guess obviously that's a huge red flag when somebody says, you make it, because I'm a professional wrestler down here in North Carolina and stuff, based out of North Carolina, travel up and down the East Coast. Obviously that's a huge red flag when somebody says, hey, I can't pay your trans. So obviously, like anybody who does business, and somebody who's been in the business as long as you immediately say, well, you know what? When we show up, I'm going to need my money in advance. Before we even lace our boots up, I'm going to need my money as soon as we walk in the door. Am I correct?
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, like, it went back and forth. Like, I waited one whole day before I even said anything. I was going to let Dave handle it and all that, but the fact was no one said anything, and I was like, well, that doesn't work for me. And it went back and forth. He eventually, I was like, dude, it's $40. You can't pay $40. He told me that his ticket prices were, or the ticket sales were down. That's why he couldn't pay our trans. But when he finally agreed to pay them, I said, hey, normally I would just have the promoter PayPal me the money before the show, but for you, I'll give you another chance. Just pay us before we perform.
And what was his answer? And obviously, I know his answer before our listeners and stuff. Please tell what his answer was.
He said, "Are you saying you're better than everybody else? You want to wrestle, or you want paid before you go on?" I was like, "Yeah, because the trust is broke. The trust is broke," and he absolutely said no. He assured me and he promised me that he had everybody's pay in their envelopes already before the show even started, but he didn't want to pay me before I worked. So I said, "Well, I'm not coming to your show."
I'll say that this is where it gets good because, like you said, you waited a day before you even said anything, and then, of course, you have to let the rest of the boys know because as being a upstanding citizen that you are of the rest of the community, like you decided to put this fucker on blast, man, and I will tell you the truth. In 10 years, I've never seen a wrestling show go from sugar to shit so quick. There was wrestlers, fans. I want to say he came up there and tried to defend himself a couple of times to no avail. Like, it just crashed and burned in like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, I ruined the guy's hopes and dreams in a matter of minutes. It's pretty crazy.
Well, crazy, yes, but I mean, with recent events and stuff, especially a huge debacle down in Dudley, Georgia and stuff, where you had that promoter booked all those legends and didn't have anybody's pay. When you have a situation that starts calling the red flags like you had, you have no choice but to back out. You have no choice but to let people know what's going on. Am I correct?
Correct. And that was the thing. It's not like it was over a few $100 or $100 or a hotel room. It was over $40. The deal was this trans plus our regular rate. And when he said he couldn't pay trans, I wasn't going to do it. Like, I wasn't going to pay my own money to wrestle. I just don't do that. But the facts are the facts. And, it went back and forth. And he assured me that Dave and everybody was still on the show, but he unbooked me and he disrespected me. And I was like, all right, are you sure about this? I'll give you one more chance. And this was the next day because, I fought with this guy for over a day. And I was like, you sure about this? Because I will put it on my social media and let my fans know that I'm not going to be in Indianapolis. And he's like, Jake, do whatever you want to do, whatever. This conversation's over. Quit talking to me. I said, all right, R.I.P. And he said, don't put it on Facebook. Don't put it on Facebook. Don't put it on your social media. I'll put it on mine and let the fans know. And I was like, no, I'm letting the fans know right now. We can forget about this whole conversation and you can pay us when we get there or whatever, or I can ruin your show. It's your pick. And he said this conversation. I was like, okay. So I just threw it on Facebook and Twitter that I wasn't going to be there, and it just took a life of its own.
Exactly. Like there was several fans who were saying they were driving. They were about to drive 3, 4. I think one fan said he was about to drive 5 hours, specifically because you were on that show. And of course, once they started asking questions. Well, if he's not going to be up there, is his brother going to be there? Is Sammy Callahan going to be up there? Is Desmond Xavier going to be there? Because the fans know that you guys are friends not only inside the ring but outside the ring. And I would assume the same as me and my brothers and stuff. If I back out of the show because of a situation like that, my friends are going to back out of the show. Like, how crazy was this promoter to think that he could talk to you like that and he could do business with you like that, and that everybody else is going to stay on the show?
Yeah, that was my biggest issue I had. And I had to show him, who was boss. The fact was, my brother's going to go with me no matter what. Dez and Zachary Wentz, they're going to follow suit, But the fact is, and Sammy as well. Like, I talked to Sammy. It was one phone call, probably 2 minutes. He says, what's going on with you and this promoter? I said, I told him the conversation. I told him about him disrespecting me. And he was like, all right, I'm done. I'm off. And when he kept saying, no, Dave's still on, Zach's still on, Dez is still on, Sammy's still on, I'm just sitting on my phone laughing, with a big smile on my face, like, cause I just talked with these guys and they're definitely not on the show.
Yeah, I was like, I live down here in North Carolina, South and stuff, and so I know, like, Anthony Henry and Austin Theory and a lot of those guys, and I called them up, and I messaged them, and I was like, hey, you know, I didn't tag them on the post or whatever, but I definitely messaged them, like, hey, have you seen, you know, Crist, have you seen Jake's post stuff about this show y'all supposed to be doing? It looks like the promoter's being kind of shady about it. Like, if he's not going to pay you guys, if he's not going to pay him, I don't think he's going to pay you guys. I think one of the funniest things was, the guy that was supposed to do his video was like, well, if you're not going to pay these guys, I know you're not going to pay us, so I'm going to sell my house and catch him on my favorite TV show. And then the guy who he was renting the ring from basically said the same thing. Well, if you're not paying them, you're not going to pay the videographer, you're not going to pay for the ring rental, just the ring's not going to give up finding another ring.
Right. I mean, see, like years and years ago, this guy in the same place in Indianapolis tried to run a try to run a show, and the ring no-show. Like, it absolutely did not show up. So it's like, how are you going to have a show without a wrestling ring? It's kind of crazy.
The only person I've ever seen, the only person I've ever seen do that is George South.
I mean,
I've seen George South do that. Yeah, I've seen George South do that before.
So it's just like, I wanted the fans to know, like, hey, this guy's a fucking bozo. Don't come to a show. So
how does it make you feel to know that you are so widely respected? That, you know, somebody that when you feel disrespected by a promoter, to have such the love and the respect from not only the fans, but the boys in the back to say, hey, you know, Jake's not going to be there and you're going to fuck over Jake. You know, we're not going to stand for it. We support Jake. We'll back out too. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel really appreciated of the 15 years that I put in this business. And I think it speaks volumes for the name that I've created for myself, you know, the reputation, you know, because not everyone would do this. You know, not everyone would pull off shows, you know what I'm saying? Like, you see that stuff all the time, you know, and like people and the workers still, you know, go get their payday, which is cool, you know, but like, in this sense, like, I wasn't trying to necessarily take this guy down. I just wanted the fans to know that I wasn't going to be there at that show. And then when it took the life of its own like it did, and all the boys jumped on board, it made me feel really good inside.
Do you think this says something about the change in how the business is going? As far as, you know, you always see posts on Facebook and on social media about, hey, you know, wrestling is a family and the boys always need to stick with the boys against the office, et cetera, et cetera. Do you see this as kind of a change in professional wrestling and the mind state of a lot of the boys in the back?
I just don't think it's professional wrestling. I think it's, you know, just the way people live their lives in general and the way society's changing. I mean, people care for one another. That it's actually showing, and it's not like it was back in the day. You know, yeah, wrestling's still cutthroat and all, but like, if this would have happened, you know, in the 80s or 90s, the boys would have still went and got their paydays. You know, they still would have done the show. Like, I don't think the boys would have, like, you know, gained up like they did with me if this was another era of wrestling. So I think it speaks volumes for the way the business is changing and the way society's changing as a whole. I just think we're actually caring for one another. I actually think there's starting to be a little peace, you know, especially around the independent world of professional wrestling, you know.
Exactly. I like I say, I was amazed at how fast the entire card backed out. Like I said, it was like in a matter of an afternoon. I saw it right around 12:30, and by 5 o'clock there was no show whatsoever. Fans were asking for their money back. The event page was down. the promoter had quote unquote posted on like the company Facebook that they were going to be giving out refunds and stuff and everything, and people had already contacted PayPal and stuff like that where they got their tickets at. Like, I was amazed at how fast that actually happened. Like I said, like I've never seen a show go down so fast in a matter of hours.
Well, when you're dealing with a big bozo like I was dealing with, like it just goes to show how independent professional wrestling has grown together. Like that's what it's all about, is coming together, you know, and standing up against these dirty shitbag promoters. That's exactly what this guy was.
All right, Sugar Dunkerton likes to call them the income tax promoters.
That's exactly what I was getting ready to say. You know, this guy, it's income tax season. He just got his refund. Like, everyone sees them. They pop up every year this time. They pop up. You know, and they are called income tax season promoters. And, you know, they're just going to spend their income tax season, not make any of the money back, and then, you know, wait until the following year to do it all over again because it's magically going to be better the next year. No, you just suck as a promoter. You know, leave it to professionals, you fucking bozo.
Now, I know our time with you is running short, and we appreciate the time that you spent with us. Do you have any last words, not only for this promoter, but for any other bozo, as you would like to call them, that's thinking about doing the same thing, or somebody, or any promoters, anybody out there who just came in for a large sum of money, who wants to fantasy book a wrestling show? Do you have any last words for those guys and for the boys in the back?
For the bozos that think wrestling's easy, or promoting a wrestling show, or, you know, running a show around income tax season, or so on and so forth, for those bozos, just take a step back, save your money, save it for your kids, save it for your wife, or whatever you got, and just don't do it. Just don't do it. Save your money. Leave it to the professionals. For the boys in the back, like you said, it just proves that the world is changing and independent wrestling is changing as well. The boys stood up. We came together. They realized that this guy was a bozo. We took his show out. That's pretty much, you know, like, as far as I'm concerned with me and the boys, like, I got nothing but love for you, and I appreciate what they did for me.
All right, now talk about something that's not a bozo. So before you leave, obviously, what do you got coming up in the next couple of weeks and stuff?
This weekend, I got, Wednesday I got Rockstar Pro Wrestling. Thursday I got IWA Mid-South. Friday I got IWA Mid-South. Saturday I got CZW. Next week we got Rockstar, AAW, PWG. Busy weekend.
Always. You know, it's always great that when you know, we're on the show and stuff, we ask guys, hey, what you got coming up? And it's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you're like, oh, man, it's so great to hear that, you know, there's so many different places, so many legitimate places for the boys to work and to apply their craft and stuff. Speaking of applying their craft, Wednesday and Saturday, when you see Rob Killjoy from the Ugly Ducklings, punch him in the face for me. Would you like to give our listeners your social media, so that way, you know, not only, you know, the rest of the fans that you do have and stuff, can pay attention to what's going on, but, you know, our listeners can become your fans and stuff and keep up with everything that's going on with not only you, but Ohio is for Killers.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me a follow on Twitter at the Jake Crist or the Jake Crist. And Facebook, I'm all maxed out of friends, but you could try. It's Jake Crist. Just hit me up, give me a like. Same gimmick on Instagram at the Jake Crist. Give me a follow, give me a like, whatever the hell that shit is.
Well, thank you for coming on our show and explaining the situation to us. I know you have a lot of things still left to do, especially a busy person such as yourself. We really do appreciate the time you spent with us tonight.
Not a problem. I appreciate you.
Thank you. You have a good night.
You too. Have a good one. Bye.
Kev.
Yo.
Now that you've heard the story, man, what do you think about it?
Wow. That's just incredible. The fuck? I mean, seriously, this promoter was this damn broke that he could not afford to pay $40 for these guys to travel to and from his show. I don't know what the fuck. I mean, $40, you could have raised all the ticket prices by $1 and made double that. You could have charged another 50 cents for every item on the concession stand. Shit, you could have raised a goddamn GoFundMe.
He could have just did like a lot of Southern wrestling companies do and just have a raffle, a 50-50 raffle.
Yes, I was just thinking that. Run a goddamn rip-off 50-50 raffle. It's covered.
There you go.
You know what pisses me off? You know what really pisses me off? I know in Indiana, you can go right down the street to any goddamn payday lender, and they will give you a $200 loan, and you only got to pay $3 in fees.
There you go. See,
he would have made us. He would have made that $200 back and more. Ah,
it was. That's what I'm saying. Like it's just amazing. Like I said, and we've seen the last year. There's been several. Unfortunately, there's been several incidents with situations like this where promoters book this huge lineup where fans get super excited. Like I said, down in Dudley, Georgia, some promoters, some whacked out, as Jake would like to call it, this bozo promoter booked this huge Georgia fan fest where he had over 100 not only wrestling legends but indie guys and stuff. He had about 150 people bought tickets or whatever, but it came time for it, and all of a sudden he didn't have the money for everybody. And we created a huge debacle. Some of the boys left, some of the legends left. The ones that did stick around, guys like Frankie Saxu and his girlfriend, I'm trying to think, Jacoby Boykins, Chris Main. Some of the boys stuck around and put together a show for the fans that were still there. Tracy Smothers, they stuck around and put together a show for the fans that was there, and then basically paid the boys up for what they made at the door. Because some fans had bought their tickets in advance, some paid at the door, and then they just split what they made at the door in the concession stand between the boys and stuff. But this is starting to become a very, very dangerous trend in professional wrestling. You have these fly-by-night promoters who think they can, because social media has made it so easy to find wrestlers, and the boys are always trying to find places to work at. And you have these guys who think they can come in and, I'm gonna book this guy and this guy and this guy, and I'll pay their fees or whatever, and they're just depending on the door or pre-sales to cover, everybody's fee.
No, you can't do that.
Exactly.
You gotta be smart. You gotta line up sponsorships for this stuff.
Mm-hmm. But they see WWE and they think that they're going to draw. Of course, every promoter thinks that they're the next Vince McMahon, or that they're going to take out Vince McMahon, or they're going to be the next TNA or Ring of Honor, or whatever the case may be. Every promoter thinks that. You know what I'm saying? And so they just assume that their pre-sales are going to be out the door. With this particular promoter, he had a very stacked lineup. And he had guys not only from Indianapolis, but like I said, he had, Ohio's for Killers and Desmond Xavier and Sammy Callahan, but he also had, a couple of guys from New York, like Rude Boy Riley, who's a champion at Tier 1 Pro Wrestling. He had Anthony Henry, who's based out of Georgia, Austin Theory, who's based out of Georgia, who just got signed to Evolve Wrestling and stuff. So he had a huge, very indie-rific lineup. He should have known beforehand that these weren't, your average backyarders that you could say, hey, I can't pay, your trans, is that okay? He should have known that he was dealing with professionals, especially when it comes to Jake and Dave Crist. He should have known. These guys have been in the business for 15 years. They've built up a reputation. They have a very great reputation, obviously. They are well respected and well loved. And for him to actually say, and what's even funny is that on this huge post, it was like 500-600 comments long. Jake Crist started, the guy was like, oh, well, that didn't happen, and Jake just started posting screenshots of the conversation, and I was appalled at this gentleman's statement that, hey, what do you think? You have to get paid up front. You think you're better than everybody else? Well, if I'd have been Jake, I'd be like, well, actually, yes. With the exception of maybe Sammy and two or three other guys, yes, we are better than everybody else in this card. Like, we traveled more than everybody else in this card. We've worked more than everybody else in this card. So, yeah, in all actuality, that makes us better than everybody else in this card. Not as people, but as wrestlers, yes, we're better than them.
As professionals, yes, absolutely.
That's the equivalent to... Go ahead.
Sure, every promoter can look at WWE and think, oh, I'm going to make money hand over fist. It's because you don't get to see the back end of the business. Do you ever notice when you're watching Raw or even watching a pay-per-view, you notice what happens at the beginning of the show when they start announcing? They start plugging the companies that paid to advertise on the show. It's not the tickets that are paying for the show. It's Burger King that's paying for the show. It's Arby's that's paying for the shows. It's fucking fruity, delicious Skittles that's paying for that goddamn show. If you want your wrestling show to make money, then you need to get you some Skittles lined up.
You can pull the line like tap out.
That's and on the local level, what that means is you need the local pizza joint to come sponsor your show. That means that they pay you, a little bit of money up front, and then they also get to be like the exclusive pizza vendor at the show. And they're going to bring pizzas by the dozen because everybody's going to eat that guy's pizza because they're the local guy. Of course they're going to do that. You need the local car dealership, and they'll trot out a couple of cars to show out in front, for some additional advertising because they'll pay out for that. That's not a problem for them. You gotta get your local businesses on board. It's a community effort. You don't include the community in it, you ain't gonna draw fucking shit.
Exactly.
Because you ain't WWE. The people ain't paying $100 for a ticket. They're paying $5, maybe $10.
Yeah, I'm about to say the average WWE ticket is about the cost of the average house show ticket, or even Monday Night Raw, is actually the cost of like the average indie show. It's about $20 for a house show, or maybe not front row Raw tickets, but the average Raw ticket is like $20, $25. That's it, which is the cost of like your average indie wrestling show or top indie wrestling show. I actually, when WrestleMania was down in Atlanta and stuff in the Georgia Dome, I went down there that week to check out ROH and Dragon Gate and Shakar and a couple other companies. And I want to say I paid more for my Ring of Honor tickets than I did my WrestleMania tickets. Yeah, I looked at my WrestleMania tickets were like $110, and that was in a decent area. Wasn't like way up in the nosebleed section. I was like 3 rows behind the floor seat where all the people got to take their chairs. So I was like 3 rows past that. And it was about $110. And then I went to Ring of Honor and got, a VIP seat, and it was right around $125 in center stage to be actually on the stage and stuff where the hard cam was. So yeah, I mean, people don't realize that like WWE is not making a shit ton off of tickets except for doing WrestleMania. Other than that, their tickets are not that expensive.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, I think it's pretty much all we got to say about that.
Yes. Aren't you so glad that you're not involved in that side of the business?
Yeah.
I know you didn't watch it, but it was all over, social media. Even me wrestling Monday night and stuff, and traveling Sunday and hanging out Sunday and stuff. But the huge deal this past week was Goldberg defeating Kevin Owens in like less time than he defeated Brock Lesnar. Everybody was making a huge joke that he defeated Brock Lesnar, the Beast incarnate, former UFC heavyweight champion, in 90 seconds. And then he went and he beat Kevin Owens in like 21 seconds, which is like 3 seconds, I think either 3 or 8 seconds short of the record when Kane beat Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania for the title. Am I correct? Wasn't it like the record before that, like 15 or 18 seconds or something like that?
I don't remember, but pretty
it
close.
It was something ungodly, but yeah. So he beats, Kevin Owens in 21 seconds. Obviously, Spear, Jackhammer, 1, 2, 3. Without watching it, Kev, I'm going to ask you real quick, do you think they're booking, this whole angle correctly? How do you think they're handling Goldberg this time?
I think it's stupid. I think the whole thing's kind of stupid. I don't think Goldberg needs to be there at all. I don't, I just don't care for it. But it doesn't really matter to me because A, I'm not watching it, so B, I'm not going to get emotional about it. But C, let's keep in mind that WWE is a $1 million business, and Vince McMahon has probably made stupider decisions in his life, and it almost always pays out for him. So obviously, he knows what the fuck he's doing. So whether or not I like it or not, WWE does it because they know it makes money, and the feedback that I'm reading is lots of fans really like it. So, is it in the end, does it really matter to me? No, not really.
Speaking of when you say, like, is it, what you just said, like, oh, is it going to make money? Surprisingly enough, they had about 900,000 more viewers last night than they had for Raw than they had last week on Raw. I think they said they have a little over 3 million viewers watching Raw last week. Yesterday they had about 3.9 million watching Raw last night. We're going to go ahead and say because he's the champion. Obviously, we're going to say that Goldberg drew the house. It might have been the return of the Undertaker. It might have been people anticipating that CM Punk was going to show up on Raw.
Why do people still have this hope? Why?
Oh man. Well, CM Punk, people have hope because you know what? If Bruno Sammartino can make up with Vince McMahon and the Crips and the Bloods can call a truce, then CM Punk can come back to WWE. I think that's what most fans think. That nothing, especially professional wrestling, nothing is never over. How many times has Terry Funk retired? Well,
it's not that. Yeah, anything can happen for sure. And everybody can always kiss and make up. And when it comes to WWE and Vince McMahon, they usually do. But they're not going to do it as a surprise. They are not going to do it as a surprise. If CM Punk and Vince McMahon ever makes up, Vince McMahon is going to make sure that it gets advertised, that it gets spread throughout the dirt sheets, that it's all over the internet just as soon as it possibly can be. Because the only outcome that you get from that is more people tuning in for the product.
Well, I think that people assume that he's going to show because after Raw had went off the air last week or the week before last, The Rock actually called CM Punk in the middle of the ring.
Right.
And unfortunately, CM Punk didn't answer. It would have been great if he would have answered. It would have been great. Holy shit, it would have been great if he would have answered. And then, somebody, of course, you have these internet news media, as Donald Trump would call it, fake news, that's saying that CM Punk was going to be in Chicago that week that Raw was in Chicago this week, and that there was talks of him making an appearance. Now, the phrase there are talks of him making an appearance and him being on the show are two completely, totally different things. But, wrestling fans, 3-4 years later since his last match, fans are still chanting his name,
Yeah. I understand the enthusiasm. CM Punk is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I started out, I wasn't a CM Punk fan, but slowly over the years, he did convert me. And I think sooner or later, he is going to return back to WWE. He is going to come back into the business. He will make at least one more run in the company, and he'll make a lot of damn money doing it. I'm just saying that there ain't going to be no surprise appearance. You're going to know about it completely. You're going to have Dave Meltzer is going to tell you when CM Punk is going to make his return back to Raw. Because it's going to draw money. It's going to draw huge money. But damn it, until CM Punk and other verified until Dave Meltzer and other verified credible sources actually say, hey, this is going down, just don't fucking believe it. Just don't.
Well, speaking of CM Punk, the only other big, huge newsworthy story that I found interesting was the Bullet Club. Obviously, you know who the Bullet Club is.
Yes.
Did a hour-long Facebook or YouTube Live Q&A this past week, and a question was asked of, with all the people that was in the Bullet Club, is there anybody that you would really want to be a part, or you would extend an invitation to be a part of the Bullet Club? And the name CM Punk popped up along with Hulk Hogan. So in the spirit, you're laughing, Kev. Like, are you laughing because of Hulk Hogan?
Yeah, I'm sure they were completely bullshitting on that. They don't want Hogan there. Hogan. People are already complaining that Cody Rhodes is there.
Well, Frankie Kazarian just joined the Bullet Club on ROH. Speaking of, how the fuck did I forget this? Hammerstein Ballroom, ROH pay-per-view, the Hardy Boys are the new ROH Tag Team Champions, and Bully Ray, Bubba Ray Dudley, inside the ROH also.
Not surprised. Not surprised.
What does this say for the future of not only ROH, because for the last 8 weeks, ROH has had a lot of people leaving, a lot of really great talent, everybody from, former champion Michael Elgin to Keith Lee, Donovan Dijak, Nigel McGuinness, Steve Corino, Kevin Kelly, like all these people jumped ship, Veda Scott, Cedric Alexander, ACH, all these people left, and then all of a sudden, you have the Hardy Boys and Bubba Ray Dudley. Do those three guys make up for all the talent that they've lost?
Probably not all the talent that they lost, but, it goes quite a way. It's just actually fortunate for Ring of Honor that this time that, not to make a pun, but Impact has imploded, finally. Our pun, of course, is that one of our shows is the Impact Implosion with Seth Drake and Mike Poulin, covering Impact Wrestling every week. I have to start training myself to start saying Impact Wrestling instead of saying TNA Wrestling, because TNA is officially dead. And that's the reason why the Hardys and Bully Ray is there, is because trying to negotiate with Anthem for these renewal of contracts, Anthem has pretty much snubbed everybody, and all the talent that was making things happen for the former TNA Wrestling have pretty much said, nope, we can't reach an agreement, so we're going to go elsewhere. So, yeah, I'm not surprised.
I know I said last week that I thought that the whole Hardy Boys not signing the contract was a work. I will say on this show that I was wrong. Turns out it was not a work. Turns out it was not part of some huge storyline. The Hardy Boys and ROH both announced that the Hardy Boys has signed the largest contract in ROH history, which is amazing because just a couple of months ago, the Young Bucks had signed the largest contract in ROH history.
Yeah. And here's why I like this deal, though, because I had a feeling that sometime in the next year, you're going to see the Hardys and the Young Bucks go at it. But I was going to predict that the Hardys would have signed a New Japan contract. But that didn't happen. So it looks like that's probably going to happen in Ring of Honor. Although I guess there is a possibility that the Hardys could travel over to Japan if New Japan does any more joint shows with Ring of Honor this year. I guess that could happen in Japan too. But I'm thinking now it's more likely that the two of them are going to face off here in the United States.
Yes. So with all this, before we get off the air, before we start signing off, are we gonna make the bold prediction saying that Ring of Honor may be the number 2 company in America?
I think right now you can actually go ahead and say Ring of Honor is probably the number 2 company in America right now. I don't know what the future of Impact Wrestling is going to look like. They're trying to renegotiate contracts and television rights, and they're basically completely rebuilding everything. Anthem has recently announced that they are looking for younger guys to establish. So really what they're looking for is indie talent that's ready to step up on TV and kind of deal with the same bullshit that other wrestlers have had to deal with Impact Wrestling, TNA Wrestling, Dixie Carter or whatever. It just seems to be the way things always go. It doesn't matter who's running the ship. It's the same story.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna say it looks like they're signing and using a lot of the OG Global Force Wrestling talent and stuff, guys that Jeff Jarrett was already familiar with, Congo Kong, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I definitely think that I'm going to wholeheartedly agree and say with the signing of the Hardy Boys, which are probably, with the exception of the Young Bucks, the hottest. Actually, I'm going to tell you the Broken Matt Hardy gimmick and Broken Matt Hardy, your brother Miro gimmick, was the hottest gimmick going in professional wrestling right now.
Yeah.
And Bubba Ray still has years left, not only in experience, but in credibility to give to any young talent. I think with the signing of those three guys that, yeah, officially ROH has become the number 2 company in the country, which by default would make them the number 3 company in the world.
Yeah, I think I could agree with that.
Of course, number 1 being WWE, number 2 being New Japan, and then ROH. That's all right?
Sounds right to me.
All right. Well, Kev, obviously we got the same things going on every week with the Angry Marks podcast. But for our listeners, would you like to let them know what they can enjoy, what shows they can listen to besides this amazing podcast on the Angry Marks podcast this week?
Well, we got a new episode of the Raw Reaction that's about ready to get uploaded, covering everything with WWE Raw. Talked about Angry Tenzai and Big Vic. Talked a little bit about the Fastlane pay-per-view as well. So check out that episode. They've kind of been off for the last month due to various issues, scheduling, stuff like that. So we're going to try to get that show back on board again. You've got, of course, us, the Wrestling Nerdcast, every Tuesday evening. On Wednesdays, you've got Glove Up or Shut Up with Stevie J and Peter H, covering everything in mixed martial arts. And there's always something going on in mixed martial arts these days. You can't walk.
Oh my goodness.
You can't walk 3 blocks without, being hit by an MMA show pretty much anymore.
Well, I'm about to say the big thing in MMA right now is George St. Pierre going back to the UFC, correct?
Yep, I think he did sign a contract back with UFC. So that's good.
Oh man, I love that guy.
Yep. Let's see. Thursday nights, of course, we have Angry Marks Thursday Night Podcast where Stevie J comes back with The Great Sudoku and with Abby Arthur and Jordan Garber talking everything about the week in wrestling. We'll catch up on a lot of Japanese wrestling. They will probably also have the latest update with from New Japan with a very serious injury to Hamna. For those who don't know, Hamna suffered a very serious injury where he became paralyzed from the neck down. Reports I read from this morning say he's getting improved, but we'll get a full report on that on Thursday for sure. Later Thursday night, we will record the latest episode of the Impact Implosion, covering everything TNA, with Seth Draken and Mike Poulin. Friday nights, it's Over the Top Radio with Ed in San Antonio. So, we've got a full slate of podcasts here every week to keep you interested. And we've got plenty of news. We've got plenty of reports on AngryMarks.com to listen to and read and do everything with.
There you go. So this week, I have a very busy weekend coming up this weekend. Friday, I'm in Marmet, West Virginia for Mega Championship Wrestling. I will be taking on Kevin Tyler for the number one contender to the Mega Championship heavyweight title, which is currently being held by Eric Darkstorm. I don't understand why I have to wrestle for the number one contenders match, especially being for the fact that, just in January, I actually faced the AIWF World Champion, Rodney Mack, in a very grueling match where I almost lost a nipple from one of the 22 chops that he gave me that night.
Ooh. You're gonna have to, next time you face him, you're gonna have to go in the ring, you're gonna have to put some tape over him.
No, I'm just gonna wear like a chest protector, like a D'Lo Brown chest protector.
Come on, chop me now.
Like I know I've said it. I told a lot of my friends and stuff. I might have said it on this podcast. I have been in the ring with some of the hardest hitting guys on the East Coast. Uga Booga, this old school wrestler named Iron Chief, Damian Wayne, Cahagas, Chance Prophet, Lewis Moore, some of the hardest hitting guys on the East Coast. DJ Hyde. Like, I've never been hit the way that Rodney Mack hit me. It was life-changing. I didn't realize that a person was capable of hitting you that hard, repeatedly, So, yeah. Anyway, so Friday night's number one contender match for the Mega Heavyweight title. Saturday, NWA Mid-Atlantic returns. I will be in action for a qualifying match for the soon-to-be, I guess you could say, soon-to-be or the second coming of the NWA Mid-Atlantic title. It was previously held by Lance Erickson, who, for lack of a better word, we're going to say he retired with the title and stuff. So now, they're having a tournament in July for a new champion. Saturday is my qualifying match to get into the tournament. It's going to be myself and Tyler Gaines. There was supposed to be Rob Killjoy from the Ugly Ducklings. But like I just, like you heard earlier in this podcast, he'll be at CZW Saturday night. Huge opportunity for him. He totally deserved it and stuff. So obviously he had to back out of the match. I think they just announced that a former NWA Carolina champion is going to be in the match instead. Somebody who I've known for almost my entire 10 years of wrestling, D.A. Assassin, will be in the match. So it'll be a triple threat. And then Sunday, I will be at Firestar Pro Wrestling in Greensboro, North Carolina. I have no idea who I'm taking on, but I'm really excited because once again, the most feared man in professional wrestling will be in the building. New Jack will be there once again. I have no idea. Hopefully, I'm not facing him, but if I am, I will make sure that Baby Abby, minus the Hep C, will be very close by. But that's what's going on. I think that's at Club Texoma, Texarkana, something like that in Greensboro, North Carolina. It's the Path to Glory, which is their big show. I'm in a tournament and stuff for the winner of the tournament becomes the Firestar Heavyweight Champion. I don't know what it is, Kev, but like certain companies, there's been like so many companies that I work for where like, the heavyweight champion has stopped wrestling, retired, whatever the case may be, and the title's been vacated, and now they have to have a tournament to crown a new champion. I'm hoping that that's not becoming a trend in professional wrestling, where instead of, guys doing a favor on the way out, they're just saying the hell with it and they're retiring as a champion. And now all of a sudden, now we have to have a tournament to crown a new champion. I hope that's not becoming a trend in professional wrestling.
Right.
Yeah, so. But yeah, that's what I got going on this week. It's going to be a very busy weekend. West Virginia, Eastern North Carolina, Western North Carolina, and then back home. So
sounds busy.
That's what I got going on.
Sounds busy for you. It's going to be busy for me too, because this weekend I got to get stuff ready for my kids' spring break, and then after that, my job is sending me to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for a week.
So what's going on in Pittsburgh?
The Pittsburgh Home and Garden Show, the biggest home and garden show in western Pennsylvania for the entire year.
Oh, man. Whew. So I take it that you're going to be selling gutters?
Yes. I work for for one of the nation's premier gutter and leaf protection systems. So you'll find my booth somewhere up on the second floor near one of the main stages. If anybody really wants to come meet Killer Kev, you can absolutely do it, but expect me to try to get you signed up for a free estimate if you live in the Pittsburgh area. And you should get a free estimate if you own a home for this, because this is really good stuff. I don't say that just because my job, it's because it's actually true, and I wouldn't promote a product that I wouldn't fully believe in.
Of course you wouldn't. What do you think you are, Carney or something?
I'm not fake like that.
You know what? You shouldn't be. Like, if you don't believe in the product, just, don't work for the company if you don't believe in the company. Just don't be one of those people who just collect a paycheck. Actually, believe in what you're selling or the service that you're giving. I gotta ask a question, Kev. The whole week, so I assume that a lot of the people that come here are contractors? Contractors and realtors and stuff like that?
There's going to be contractors and there's going to be realtors in the show, but the majority of it's are going to be people who are looking to have home improvement stuff done. People who are looking to finally get that remodel done in whatever part, or put an addition on their home or a new roof or whatever.
So these conventions into like comic conventions and wrestling conventions with 50,000 people and wild shit going on when the convention's over with at night and stuff, and people are partying and everything.
No, there's not going to be any partying. I guarantee you, when we get out of there at 10 o'clock at night, we're going to bed. We're beat.
I forgot to say, so we're 1 month away from April 8th. Smash Funk Wrestling presents Smash Fest, where I will be in the main event for the Smash Funk Heavyweight Championship, where I get to beat up two of this show's longtime friends, Troy Miller, Andrew Skills, along with Marty Jannetty and Sugar Dunkerton. Unfortunately, DJ Z had to back out due to previous obligations or whatever, but I get to finally get my hands on Drew Skills.
Finally!
Finally?
Finally? You're not going to duck him this time?
Oh, no. Matter of fact, I'm going to make sure that the week of that show, I'm going to make sure that my car is in perfect running condition. And I'm going to have a rental on standby just in case. Trust and believe. That was so mean, Kev. I was going to offer to come pick you up and stuff and hang out with you all day, but never mind now. I'm feeling better.
Where's this at?
It's in Valparaiso, Indiana.
Valparaiso, Indiana. I'm trying to think where Valparaiso is. Well, you're pretty much going to be driving right by me, so you might as well pick me up.
Yeah, but I'm saying, it's in very northwest Indiana. It's close to Chicago.
Okay, that's right. I was trying to remember where Valparaiso is. For some reason, I was confusing it with Vincennes. I don't know why.
So yeah, it's like northwest Indiana, very close to Chicago and stuff. So, I'm really excited for that match. I feel like we could have like one of them on as a guest every week, so I can talk shit to them.
Yep.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Wrestling Nerdcast. Once again, follow me on Instagram, William Huckabee. Follow me on Twitter at WA Huckabee. Friend me on Facebook. I'm not that big of a wrestling indie darling that I've reached my 5,000 friends yet. So, friend me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. I got the YouTube page. I got some videos I'm about to load up and stuff on Instagram. So on behalf of, myself, the greatest podcast producer in wrestling podcast history, Killer Cav,